Today I'm going to show you how to use POR-15's patch filler and seam sealer. Now this is essentially a paste version of POR-15's rust preventative coating, but instead of being a thin liquid, it's a thick paste, kind of like toothpaste or caulking. And that is what makes this work so good for this kind of project. We have a '59 Chevy door here, and we're going to show you how to patch up these holes all along the bottom. This is also really good for repairing window frames, such as the windshield or rear window, where water becomes trapped in the bottom and top and ends up rusting out. You can repair that with POR-15 patch, filler, and seam sealer without even tearing down your interior. It works really well. We're going to show you how to use it right now. First thing we're going to do is use a grinder, and we're going to knock this top surface down. Now that our area is clean of loose rust, dirt, and paint, we're going to go ahead and prep this with POR-15's cleaner degreaser. Now you do not specifically have to do this for the patch seam sealer product. However, it is the best practice for any POR-15 product to use both cleaner degreaser and their metal prep before applying any of their products to bare metal. I'm just going to spray it down, keep it wet, and let this sit for a few minutes. Plain water, and we're going to rinse this off. Once our repair area has been rinsed with fresh, clean water, it needs to completely dry before moving to the next step. Now we're going to use some compressed air. However, this is filtered air, so we know that there's no oil in these lines at all. If you're using a compressor at home, you need to use a small dryer, like an inline dryer, just to make sure that you don't get any oil on the surface. You can also use a heat gun or a hair dryer. Now that our area is clean and dry, we're going to hit it with some POR-15 metal prep. Now this is reusable, so on a part like this, you're going to want to brush it on and keep it wet for about 20 minutes before rinsing it. So we're going to use a little squirt bottle here and a brush so that we can control how much is going on. We're just going to brush this area and keep it wet for about 20 minutes. You do not want this to dry. It needs to stay wet. So you're going to want to kind of, every couple of minutes, give it a brush, a little freshen up. You can just squirt a little bit on your brush and kind of work it in. Just keep it wet, again, for 20 minutes, and then we'll rinse it again. Okay, our 20 minutes is up, so we're going to go ahead and use some fresh water. Just squirt that on here. And I'm going to use a little paper towel to kind of scrub it a little bit, make sure we get it rinsed and cleaned off real good. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to do the same thing and force dry this. You can also use a heat gun or a hair dryer to speed up the drying process. The heat gun will also help dry out the interior side, which is important as well. All right, now that our metal is prepped and ready, we're going to apply our POR-15 patch filler and seam sealer. Now, this does come with an adjustable tip, just like any caulk or silicone. If you're doing something such as the seam across the door or on your floor pan, you can use this to get the exact bead that you want. For this repair, we're not going to use this. Now, small holes such as this here and probably this, those would be fine. You could just put the paste directly over it. However, this hole is a little bit larger. It's about the size of my thumb. And we're not going to be able to just put this paste on there and expect it to hold. During the curing process, it could start to sag or fall. We don't want that to happen. So we're going to use some fiberglass mesh. Now we're going to tape this mesh, and this is self-adhesive, and we're going to put it along here and cut some strips about the width that we're looking for. We're going to pull it off the backer, and then we're just going to apply this here and then push it down. Now you want to go over the area that you're repairing. You want to have excess all the way around it. These are all small repairs here. You know, about the size of a thumb is about the biggest we have. If you're going to repair a floor pan that has holes the size of your fist, you're going to want to do this a little bit differently. You're going to want to use POR-15's Power Mesh. Now, Power Mesh is a special fiberglass cloth that is used for larger repairs, and you actually use this with the liquid form of rust preventative. You lay this out, you brush it down, then you apply the cloth in 3 layers, and if you can, do a layer from the opposite side, so you can do 3 layers on the inside, 1 layer on the outside. That forms a sandwich, bonds everything together, gives you a really strong repair. But for smaller holes, patch filler seam sealer is perfect. So let's get started. So I have a plastic spreader here to help apply it, and I'm just going to take it and squeeze a bit of it out and just kind of go over all of the holes. I'm going to do about half of the repair right there. Now I'm going to take the spreader and I'm going to just kind of gently spread this out. I'm going to push it into the mesh. Oh, that's really nice. Then I'm going to apply more to the rest of it. I'm going to add a little bit more over that large hole, because what I want it to do is kind of sink in around the hole on the inside to create a little bit of a hook. And then spread this out. Now again, this is for superficial repairs. You would not want to use this on a part that is structural, sees a lot of stress, anything like that. It's okay that the edge of this is lifted. It's where it needs to be over the rusted areas, and we're going to sand the rest of it off and get it nice and smooth so that this looks like a finished, completed door. And that's all there is to it. This repair is almost finished. We just need to let this dry for about 4 to 6 hours. It should be rock hard at that point, and we should be able to sand it. Now, it won't reach full cure for about 96 hours. So we're going to let this sit overnight, come back, and we're going to sand this down, and it'll be finished, and it'll look great. All right, it's the next day, and everything has dried up quite well. It's not tacky. Everything is nice and firm. Now, if we dig into this, particularly on this big area right here where there was a big hole, it's not going to be fully cured on the other side. So we don't want to dig into it too much, but we want to go ahead and knock the top of this off with a grinder. Now, this stuff does sand really hard. That's one of the reasons why you don't want to use it on the exterior, because it doesn't sand super well. But we're going to hit this with a grinder and then some 36 grit on a DA just to smooth it out. It'll be good enough for what we're doing on our door. Now, if you run into any spots that are gummy, you're going to want to stop and let this cure fully, because once it's gummy, that means you've gone through the area that's skinned over and dried, so it's fresh. It needs to sit for at least 24 more hours, more likely a couple of days. Remember, this isn't fully cured until about 96 hours. Now we're going to hit it with some 36 grit on a DA. All of these steps are extra. You do not have to sand this stuff at all. Because this is on a visible area, that's why we need to sand this down. If this was in the door channel here or a window channel, something like that, there's no reason to come back and dress it again. Just let it cure and then top coat it. POR-15 patch filler seam sealer is not UV stable, so it does have to be top coated. If you do not top coat it, after a week or so, this will start getting chalky. You'll wipe it and that chalk will come off on your hands and it'll be shiny black underneath. A couple more weeks, same thing. You'll wipe more off. Over time, rain and all that stuff will wash it away. It will literally erode away. You need to top coat it so that it does not get damaged by the sun. Because this product is essentially the same as the liquid rust preventative from POR-15, it needs to be top coated within about 24 hours while it is still slightly tacky. We have sanded this to give us some good mechanical adhesion. If you have let this cure the full 96 hours and it's rock hard, you absolutely have to sand it in order to get mechanical adhesion for your top coat. Otherwise, within about 24 hours, we're at about 18 where we're at right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this top coat and give it a spray. We'll let this dry for about 15-20 minutes and we'll go ahead and put a second coat on top of it. Make sure you check out POR-15.com for patch filler seam sealer and all of their rust preventative measures. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.